I'm going to do some pore filling now on the back and sides of the body. And I'm going to use this GoodFilla Wood Filler, which actually can be used as a wood filler for repairs as well as a grain filler, a pore filler, which is what I'm going to use it for by diluting it up to 20% with warm water, which I have here. And this is actually a neutral color, so it can be dyed any color you want. Now this is water-based, so what that means is I can use my acrylic paints to mix with the pore filler to get a color that I want to use to accentuate the grain. So I've already started mixing a little bit as an experiment, but I need to do a lot more for this. So what I've got here, I'm going to pour in some warm water into this plastic cup. Then I'm going to take some of this wood filler and start mixing it with the water. Now, it needs to be kind of a pancakey batter consistency, so fairly thick, but still fluid. So what I'm going to do, so that's going to take a while to mix, but I'm going to go ahead and put some paints in there. So I've got raw umber, I've got burnt sienna, yellow, lemon yellow, and white. So I want to accentuate the grain a little bit while darkening this in sort of a golden hue. So I'm going to add some raw umber. Now this already has some paint in it, this old piece of this plastic cup, but I'm going to go ahead and darken it up a little bit. Add a little bit of a golden hue if I can. Now I'm eyeballing this, so I'm going to mix it up and see what color it comes out and see if I like it. Now the thing is, once I put the pore filler on the wood and squeegee it in, just get it to fill all the little, all the grain and all that. After it starts to dry, which it'll do pretty quick, I need to start removing the excess. I can do that with a rag, and I can also, if it dries too much, I'll have to sand it off. But it'll stay inside the grain and inside any little holes or anything that the finish might have, or that the body might have. I know that there are some little divots around here somewhere, so it'll all get covered up. This will ensure a nice smooth finish since it's covering all the holes, all the pores, just make it nice and smooth. Might take a couple applications too. So as you can see, it's starting to darken up a bit. Now when it dries, it actually lightens in color. So the color that you see in here won't be this dark when it gets into the grain. Okay, that's starting to look right. As you can see, kind of a pancake batter sort of consistency. I don't know if you can really tell. But I have an old card that I'm going to use to spread it over. So I'm just going to do the back first. I'll do the sides after. So here we go. So I'm just going to pour some out. Now you want to go both with and against the grain, but the against the grain is to really get it in there. Get it into the pores. Yeah, as you can see, there are a couple lumps. That's okay. We'll be doing multiple passes. And then sanding all this off. I could have made this a lot darker to really accentuate the grain, but I didn't want to go too dark because I kind of want this to be the golden side. So red and gold is the theme of the guitar. So I don't want the body to have a lot of dark notes or anything like that, but I do want the grain to be accentuated to a degree. And plus I have to pore fill anyway to get this nice and smooth. So that's why I added the color. Now you might be thinking, well, you're doing an oil-based finish, but you're using a water-based pore filler. Well, that's fine, because once the pore filler dries, then you can put anything on top of it. The water will all evaporate, and what'll be left is the hard filler in all the pores. And that you can finish with anything on top of it. I just can't put the Tru-Oil on top of this while it's still wet. So I already prepared the body for this by giving it a wash coat, which means I already applied some Tru-Oil. I applied 1 coat of Tru-Oil to this. That way the pore filler doesn't have to work quite as hard to fill all the pores. And it helps avoid splotchiness and things like that. All right, that's starting to dry up here. So I'm going to take a rag now, soak it in some warm water, and just start removing the excess here. So by going across the grain like this, instead of with the grain, I help put some of the pore filler back in the grooves in the grain, rather than completely wiping it off. So I might have gone a little too aggressive here, but this is only the first coat, and I'm going to have to add quite a few more. I might have to darken this. It looks a little, well, I don't know. It could also, I feel like I've removed quite a bit of the pore filler with this wet rag. So the next coat I could actually leave until it completely dries and then sand it off. And that way more of it will stay inside the grain. So I'm going to add a little more raw umber. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry and sand it off and see where we stand. Okay, it has dried. Now I'm going to sand it off. I'm actually going to use my orbital sander and using a 400 grit sandpaper. It's taking forever. I'm going to try just some wet rags, see if I can lift some of it off. It's actually working out pretty well. As I wipe it across, making sure I get full coverage, and I can tell that it's kind of darkening the whole thing and giving it a little bit of an amber sort of tint, which is what I want, kind of a golden look to it. And at the same time, filling the grain to keep it smooth. So I sanded it down a little bit by hand with 240 grit after it dried, just to even it out a bit. And now I'm going to apply the next coat using the same method, just brushing it on with the rag. All right, that'll do for now. I'll wait till this dries again, add another coat. Need to mix up some more. Maybe do some more sanding. We'll see how it goes. But so far, so good. It's slowly building up the pores, slowly filling the pores. I mixed up another batch of pore filler. This time I made it a little darker and a little looser so that it can really get in there. And the way that I found works best seems to be just applying it with a rag. So here we go. So now I'm going to stain the back and sides. Not really, I mean, I'm going to take some Tru-Oil, mix it up with some oil paints to get kind of a darker golden sort of color on the back and sides. So the good thing is I can mix the Tru-Oil with artist's oil paints because they are compatible. They're both oil-based, they're both linseed oil-based. And I can even thin it out with some odorless mineral spirits. So let's get to mixing. So first, I'm going to pour some Tru-Oil in here. Now I just eyeball everything. You can kind of tell the consistency and the color. Okay, so now I'm going to add some mineral spirits just to keep it from drying up. Okay, again, just eyeballing it, just thinning it out a little. And now I'm adding some burnt umber. So burnt umber is the dark brown. So I'm just going to add just a little bit of that, just about an inch's worth. Now I'm going to lighten it up with some yellow and orange. Try to kind of give it that glow, that sort of golden look, not too dark. Some yellow, and then a little bit of orange. Okay, so now I'm just going to mix it all up and see what color it formed. All right, so I'm going to take a shop towel to apply this. These tend to work pretty well. So I've mixed it up. It's really not a pleasant looking color, as you can see. But hopefully it'll stain well. I just want to kind of darken this, amber it, golden it, whatever you want to call it. So I'll try a little spot and see. Oh, so this is pretty light, so this is fine. I'm going to go ahead and apply this. I'm probably going to have to do a darker coat. Okay, well that's it for now. I'll do another coat later and keep adding to it. So yeah, that first coat was nowhere near dark enough. So I'm going to try darkening the mixture and add more burnt umber. Okay, I've darkened it. Now it looks like chocolate. We'll see how this stains. I added more orange to the mix, and I think that was a good choice because I'm starting to get more of that gold. That'll do for now. We'll see what it looks like tomorrow. Okay, so what I've done is mix Tru-Oil with artist oil paints to get this kind of honey color for the back and sides. It worked quite well. I used, let's see, these are the paints I've used. I did not use white, but I used the burnt umber, some orange, and medium yellow. Mix them all in with Tru-Oil and put a few coats of it, and came out great. I really like the color, and the contrast between that honey color and the red top is going to look spectacular, I think. I currently have it taped off on the sides here because I need to scrape the binding. I've got a lot of color on the binding here from when I stained the sides. So I should have taped that off, but I have to scrape it anyway. So I taped it off, and I'm gonna get to scraping zen. But so far, I'm really digging the way the back came out. And I also put a bunch of coats of just plain Tru-Oil on top to get the shine. Probably about 10 coats, 12 coats, something like that. I lost count. But just one quick coat, you know, and let it dry, and then put another one on. And then every once in a while I would do the gray Scotch-Brite pad and scuff it up, kind of level it off. It's not perfect, but I think it's good enough. It's going to be the back like this, so just buff it out a little bit and it's going to look great.